one of my close friends, um, uh, so when I was in school, one of my close friends was a pathological liar that kind of came out over the course of the year, in that like this person who's actually was extremely lovely and nice and a close friend, turned out had been spreading, not even rumors, but there was an element of pathology to it, around both very large things. This person sort of had spread like, had told people and lied about it that we had been like dating and had various other things, to the very small, like minute elements of just details that made very little sense to make up, but were very clearly not true and unverifiable. And by the end of the year, we had to actually confront this person about what was actually going on at this time in this person's head and why this was all the case. And we ended up confronting this person in such a way that I think I've never really seen someone react in a way that kind of demonstrated someone's brain betraying them. And I was shocked and sort of like wounded in a way that I haven't been in quite some time.
I've been thinking of something to talk about very hard today. And now that my feet are so hot, I cannot think of anything other to talk about than my sister. And I remember being teased by her in the living room of my parents' house, just for all kinds of stuff, like mental acuity, physical appearance, and probably a criticism of whatever task I was doing at the time. And it was like one of the few times as a kid that I actually like took off after her, like intending to do her physical harm because she hurt my feelings so bad. And then I slipped on the shitty linoleum floor in the kitchen, and then I put my face through the drywall. And then I was just like shocked because I looked at it, and then there was like the shape of my face in the drywall, and like I couldn't believe that I was okay or anything like that. But like it was like such a shock because like I had been very like emotionally wounded by an older sibling who like kind of played hell with me anyway. And then my face also felt weird. So I just like, but I was like so overwhelmed by all that, and then also what I had just done and how much trouble I was going to get into, that I kind of forgot all about my emotional hurt.
Talking about this in general, yeah, it's extremely uncomfortable physically, less so. Yeah. The first time, to my knowledge, that I ever had sex with someone who was HIV positive, I like lost it in the way that one like loses it if one's knowledge of what being HIV positive was shaped kind of exclusively by what one hears as a child, as this kind of crazy death sentence and this weird, you know, this stigmatized thing. And when like this was sort of revealed after the fact, I handled that in the way that I think one would maybe expect someone whose knowledge of what HIV was would react, which is not particularly well, sort of extremely angry and betrayed, and all the things that one would imagine of someone who felt as if someone else had intentionally done something extremely harmful. And so I like, yeah, was extremely upset and irrational and illogical in the response. And to the point where like, yeah, he had to like get like his doctor to like call me. He was like, no, here's what undetectable means, and here's what all the things. And like, looking back on that, like, I had no idea what being undetectable meant, what PrEP was, what any of the things that actually, the things that sort of make stigmatization of HIV and being HIV positive so negative and so harmful for really everybody. And I think looking back on that, I did that person tremendous harm unintentionally, because that's, for tons of reasons, that's not the person who's HIV positive's responsibility to reveal. That is totally an interaction that is inflicting that responsibility on folks who are HIV positive is extremely harmful and stigmatizing and all the things. And so that is a person who I harmed in a way that I should not have.
Okay. So this one time in school, I had been drinking a lot, and then I continued to do so, and walked into a bar, and then there was just someone bent over in front of me, just wearing denim jeans, and then there was a butt crack in front of me. And then I just put my pointer finger in the butt crack, and turned out it was like a friend that I went to school with. I think at that point, to me, just like kind of the way that I like my persona or whatever would be to probably like shoot first, ask questions later with that type of sexual harassment. But yeah, it was actually a friend from school. Thankfully, it wasn't like a total stranger for a bunch of reasons. And they were really pissed off at me. And then I had no idea what to do other than to write a card that said, sorry that sorry that I assaulted you. And that has aged really poorly for me. And I've kind of been horrified to talk about it, so it feels really weird to talk about it on a microphone.
As far as resolution goes to this, I think it definitely informed how I interact with people in the world. And I think talking about all this stuff is interesting to me because as a musician who I spend sort of like my life trying to be as invisible as possible on a stage, because that's sort of what one's job is as a classical musician whose job is to interpret the works of composers, or will play music that's written for us, but our job is to sort of be the voice of whatever composer we happen to be working with. And this particular interaction in this piece, in this moment, highlights a lot of I think for me, try as I might say, the space I take up on a stage is tremendous, and the agency of that interaction is exclusively almost on me and on the people that I work with and the people on the stage at any given moment. So I think being forced to actually speak about myself as a human, which I actually avoid, I try to make myself as kind of blank a canvas as possible professionally, is a really compelling way for me to reckon with the fact that the invisibility that I sort of try to strive for is impossible and needs to be reckoned with constantly.
I dread this part of the show for a number of reasons. One is that I have some of that same thing where I rehearse the thing as hard as I can, and then I present it in front of people. So I'm putting something out there, but I'm not actually you know, revealing anything meaningful about my person, which is, I think, rare to see. So it's difficult, especially since I consider myself to be a very private person, to do that, and I feel trapped by this moment in the show because my ego won't let me not do it. To say that, okay, well, how much of a performer are you? Are you actually willing to sit down in a chair and talk about this stuff in an exposed way?
damaging the credibility of the person they harmed, or lashing out at anyone who asks them to take accountability for their actions. We have all, at some point, struggled to admit we were wrong or acted in a hurtful way. Before I can acknowledge someone else's experience of my actions, even if the offense is as small as not washing my shirt.